She's a visionary leader and relentless in driving and supporting important projects to improve our lives.
Great perseverance, great leadership. Her success is unparalleled.
She is an incredibly inspiring woman who touches the hearts and minds of everyone I have seen her bring together.
Okay.
Just talk to Joe.
Oh, great.
Across.
What young people are faced with today is completely unprecedented, and it's going to take a new generation of leadership that understands deeply those threats because they are themselves technologists to address the issues at hand. It's going to take leadership that has spent their life in technology. It's going to take leadership that understands what questions to ask, how to ask them, and what it looks like to implement a plan. This is not the America of the 1950s. This is the America of 2024. And in this America, it's going to take communities coming to the White House that never have actually been in the White House. And these are going to be tech communities, these are going to be Gen Z communities, these are going to be millennial communities who really believe that working together is going to get us to a healthier America with solutions that actually work. I was born in Roseville, California, near Sacramento. Then my mom and dad decided to move back to Oakland into the home my dad grew up in. You learn from a young age growing up in Oakland that we are all made equal and we all get a shot at something great. And the color of your skin just gives you a different, cool cultural perspective. And you know, I'm half Chinese, half Caucasian, but to the people around me, I was Nicole. My mom immigrated to the United States in 1983 from Guangzhou, China. My father, in particular, struggled with substance abuse, various mental health challenges. We relied on government assistance for a good portion of my childhood. Every time my dad lost a job, there wasn't a lot of money to cover basic expenses like food. And we would get food stamps and go to the local grocery store with our mom, my brother, and I. And at the checkout counter, I remember she would ask my brother and I to go stand by the magazines when it was time to pay. Whew. It was hard. It's really hard. Those programs, they saved my family. They gave me a chance. I went to the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington. I graduated in 2007, and I started working actually on medical device patents as a paralegal. I was always asked to be kind of the resident law firm nerd that was in charge of making sure the software always worked well and represented all of the client data correctly. And I loved it. I was at Santa Clara Law School, which is really in the heart of Silicon Valley, and trains some of the top IP law professionals in the country. In 2014, I joined Stanford Law and Computer Science to become a Codex Fellow. My center at Stanford, Codex, one of our core themes is how to build humanistic programming into AI. AI unregulated can be disastrous for us. We're already seeing early signs of it. And, you know, on day one of Bobby Kennedy's presidency as his vice president, I will mobilize the best legal ethicists in AI on the planet. And they're going to have knowledge of computational ethics. So after my 2 years at Stanford, I spun out my company, Clear Access IP. I then founded a foundation of my own called Bia Echo Foundation, one of the largest funds in women's reproductive health ever created. Human reproductive health is in decline globally, and at a pace that is actually causing alarm in certain countries right now. Women's health is a direct indication of environmental health. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl in November of 2018. That was the happiest day of my life. From time of birth until 7 months, she smiled, she giggled, she paid attention, she hugged, she, grasped for things. She had a great appetite. At around 10 months, things had changed dramatically. She wasn't engaging as much, and her energy didn't seem as high, and her muscle mass seemed weak. I would, sit her to just sit on her own, and she wouldn't be able to hold herself up when previously she could. She wasn't speaking, she wasn't pointing, she seemed kind of, in her own world, and the evaluator clearly identified symptoms associated with autism spectrum disorder. And it was then and there in 2020 that my life changed forever. Chronic disease in children is due to environmental disruptors that cause inflammatory symptoms, which then reduce the child's ability to heal. I've learned that the top environmental health exposures are really in 3 categories. There's endocrine disruption, which is caused by various chemicals in our consumer products, chemicals and preservatives in our foods. The second category of environmental exposures are electrochemical in nature. That electrical interference comes in the form of our wireless technologies, our devices, our cell phones, and we have no regulatory body currently in the United States keeping an eye on this. The third category of environmental exposures really is medications that we rely on for our healthcare system. And ironically, many of these medications are prescribed to help manage the symptoms related to exposures caused by categories 1 and 2. It's a Band-Aid that actually poses new risks. I've spent my life in data and technology, and I know that there is a solution here to this problem. We have the tools today to get there, and if we are open to this conversation, we are on path to healing America. And that is a simple conclusion that I think any person in America can make once they have the information. We owe it to the American family to take these toxins out of our food and out of our water, out of our medicines. This campaign is so much more than politics. This campaign is about what is sacred. And what is sacred is our health and our families in this land, this beautiful land that deserves much greater attention and care than we've given it. I'm making this move as an independent now because I've been finding it harder and harder to find the leadership in the White House that represents the issues closest to my heart. And in order for us to get there, I think we all need to rethink what has happened to the DNC and the RNC for that matter. We need an opportunity, we crave an opportunity to see how we can serve in the best interests of the American public outside of a system that hasn't worked. We deserve a real election of optimism. And that's what Bobby Kennedy gives us a chance at.